Okay, so the experiment here is to play the snare without the snare on, and then with the snare on, obviously, and then to play the modifications in both of those states. Because when you drop the snare, it becomes a tom, and then Bob's your uncle. So you got tom effect and then snare effect. If you choose to put one of these big fat snare heads on your toms, which is doable. We're going to get the difference in the dynamic, and we're starting here with Evans hydraulic snare head. And the point of the hydraulic is it has a thin coating of oil between, I believe, 2 millimeter heads. And that gives you sort of a portion of the effect of using a gum or putting your wallet on your snare or whatever trick it is, your handkerchief, whatever your trick it is you already use. So this is a little bit muted as it begins, just to start with the whole thing. So if you're this kind of guy, this is the video for you. So what you want to do is hear what we're working with the snare off, then I'm going to put the snare on, then we'll move on to the next product. That's the Evans hydraulic as it is. It's got a nice little coating on there. It's hard to see, but you can hear it. So if you have your brushes, it's a great head. Now, when we add the round sound, 14, because it's a 14-inch snare, 14 by 5, what we get is what we would have if we put the round sound on the tom. These are available at Big Fat Snare Heads in their jazz pack. And when you have big giant thumbs, they're hard to take off. If you note, the pitch is a little bit darker and it's a little bit more muted. Just a little bit, because sometimes all you need is that little bit. And now, we're going to snap on the snare. And if you notice, it actually gets a little bit tighter and snappier. So this is a way to crisp up your snare because I guess the resonance of the top head is affecting the percussion on the bottom head with the snare itself. So it's a very interesting thing that it gets a little tighter, a little bit sharper, and a little bit crisper when you put this one with this one small, very, very small, relatively small modification. We have this time in 13 inches because I don't like everything bogged down, but they make a 14-inch version if that's who you are. The Quesadilla. Ooh, it's delicious. We'll go through this in gradients of modification. Now, we have a small version. I believe this is an 8-inch version of what they refer to as the Quesadilla. The Quesadilla has a magnet on it, so it doesn't go anywhere. And this one is the easiest to test between because I can just do this and then I can bring it back. So with the Quesadilla, we're going to start once again. That is a major modification for such a little thing. That's a monster. All that ring is gone, everything. Back with the snare. Wow. Big, big, big changes. So you are literally changing your game from pop to rock to funk. And the beauty of the quesadilla is that you can leave that there, throw on a different head, and if you're quick enough, you can do this for chorus and verse. Snatch that off, flip it back on. That'll happen fast. I just threw that at it. We have the 8-inch quesadilla. Let's see what happens when we use the 13-inch quesadilla on the 14-inch drum. Major modification in a split second. All with cheesecloths. Shows what you get when you experiment long enough and you try to apply outside of the box thinking to something that's been around forever. That's why I love companies like this. This is why we shop the way we do. This is why we look for the products that we do. These guys thought about something and they made adjustments, and sometimes they didn't work. And I'm sure they went right back to the drawing board 1,000 times until they got something like this. And it's so simple and so agile and so quickly done. So then we can go from the section of to 2. Oh yeah, got game now. The depth of your game. And now we're going to re-engage the snare. All kinds of possibilities and options. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the pain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come? Why am I singing 90s grudge like an idiot? Because the first product that we have here is actually called the Black Hole Sun. And it is also considered a donut. It is black and it has a hole. See, black hole. And it brightens up your music by making it sound better. And back to our favorite grunge days, we have what is called the Black Hole Sun. Don't you come, don't you come. Wait, first, I'm getting ahead of myself. Without the modification. Black hole. Wow. Big difference. It's almost like the drum style is different, what it's made of. That's an impressive bit of variance. After that, we have the Medford Square. If you know where Medford Square is, you know what it's all about. If not, Google's your friend. I'm not your history teacher. This right here is going to bring a little sizzle, a little pizzazz. Class up the joint a little bit. Understand what I'm saying? Tighten it up. It's intense. Now you've got a resonator. The Green Monster. The Green Monster is going to darken up your life. It's going to make you sound, it's going to give you something that dank. You know what I'm saying? That deep, dark dank. Like the aqueduct under a dungeon dank. That's what I'm talking about. We got to go deep. We got to go deep and dark. And we go from here. To the Green Monster. All the way down. That's a kick drum level. And that becomes you almost don't need a kick drum. It's crazy. And that, my friends, are the sounds, the many sounds of Big Fat Snare Drums. And in fact, let me throw a little salt up on here. And everything isn't as you might think, because sometimes adding a little more muffle, it's not just degrees of being muffled by adding more things. As you add different flavors and stack different things, you hear different frequencies pop to the fore. So when I switch that from there, and I double up like this, now I'm playing on the thicker part here, but it has a higher pitch. So there's all kinds of wondrous things we can do by mixing and matching and doubling and tripling, and because if I go from there, it brings me down 2 pitches, a pitch and a half, maybe 2. So you could take the same snare to 50 recordings and sound like it's your 50 drummers. And those are our offerings for today. We tried to pick a assortment that would give you not every single product that they have, because I ain't got all, who's got all that time? You ain't got all the time to watch that. We tried to pick the biggest differences between the different sounds that they had to offer and the different colorations that you could get on a snare. We felt that this array was probably good enough to cover the entire expanse of what they offer.